This is your Barbados Today evening news update for Wednesday, April the 25th. Thanks for joining us. I'm Emmanuel Joseph. Top in the news, General Secretary of the Barbados Workers Union, Tony Moore, today issued a rallying call for the island's workers to get off the fence and be prepared to stand up for their rights. Speaking at the launch of the BWU's May Day celebrations, Moore said that gains made by the labor movement are under threat, and she's worried that too many workers are just prepared to sit on the sidelines.
Regrettably, too many young people, too many older people in our workforce appear to have become cynical and overly fearful, so that they resort to just sitting back on the sidelines and complain as they watch their freedoms gradually ebb away. It is in this season that we ask you to recall that the political and other changes that followed the disturbances across the Caribbean in the 1930s occurred only because the workforce across the region all stood up and took action. I warn you on the occasion of May Day 2018, you members of the Barbados Workers Union, that those who wish to keep the workers in the country, in this country, in a state of subjugation and poverty, will only be able to do so if we, the workers, fail to stand up and act for the justice which we deserve.
Moore insisted that trade unions are more relevant now than ever before and stressed that solidarity remains the best way to tackle growing challenges in the work environment.
In 2018, there are things that we have been experiencing in recent times that reinforce the obligation of the trade union to defend your interests, to stave off the less than subtle attacks on the many gains that were won by early labor leaders. We're seeing it not only within the private companies within which many people work, but we are also seeing it coming into the public sector. And you need the unions as much as the unions need you to recognize that you need us for your own development.
In other news, it's still anyone's guess who will become the 14th Anglican Bishop of Barbados. Up to news time, voting by the elective synod of the Anglican Diocese was still ongoing at the Ivan Hayward Center adjoining the Christchurch Parish Church. 5 leading clergymen are said to be contesting the top post. The 2 main contenders are reportedly the Dean of the St. Michael's Cathedral, the Very Reverend Dr. Jeffrey Gibson, and Rector of St. George's Parish Church, Reverend John Rogers. Members of the Anglican community are paying attention to the vote, and some have been sharing their expectations for the church's new leader.
As a member of the St. Peter Deanery Youth Council and Deanery Rep, I think that my bishop should really focus on putting his energies towards the youth within our church and the Sunday school, because at the rate when I look around most of our churches, we have an aging population within our churches, and we would like to build stability within our churches for our young people.
I think the Anglican church need a bit reviving, and to bring somebody more youthful so we can pull from among the youth and encourage them to come back to church. And I think they're looking for someone to rejuvenate the Anglican church, to bring new life and new ideas. I think that is what is needed at the moment in the Anglican church.
We want a good bishop and one that loves the Lord and loves the congregation and preach nice to the congregation.
When I was growing up, we had a lot of young people in the church, but now they're gone. So we want somebody who could bring them back. We know they can come back. So someone young would be wonderful.
First and third formers at the Ellerslie School have been exploring the world of work at a career showcase today. Principal Lieutenant Colonel Errol Brathwaite said it was the first big-scale event of its kind held at the school for a while, and he encouraged the students to learn as much as they could from the representatives of the various companies and organizations on hand.
It is on the calendar of the Ellerslie School one of the very significant events, because not only do we engage in the business of delivering the curriculum here to our students to ensure that they have a solid foundation, but we have to prepare for them the appropriate guidance to point them in the direction of careers which are available to them. Of course, not all of the careers available we are going to be able to lay on because of the vast number which are available, but we want to give you the opportunity to at least engage and to get a feel for some which are available.
Featured speaker Stephanie Kathleen Birmingham, a human resources specialist and former student of the school, gave the students some sound advice on how to prepare for the world of work.
It is very, very critical for you to understand what these behaviors are when applying for any job. And so a tip that I will leave with you for sure is when you're applying for any job, any role, whether it's informal or formal, always pay very close attention to the values of the organization or the behaviors that are expected of that role, because more than likely you will be assessed on whether or not you do possess them.
Representatives from the Barbados Defense Force, Royal Barbados Police Force, Barbados Fire Service, financial institutions, artists, a funeral home, and the hospitality industry, some of whom were also LSD alumni, took part in the showcase.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
Welcome back with news from the region now. Police in Trinidad and Tobago have confirmed that no charges will be laid against the boy who allegedly chopped his mother over a dispute related to homework. The Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions instructed that the boy be released today after the mother failed to give the police an official report. The 15-year-old Form 3 presentation college student is alleged to have chopped his mother in a fit of rage at their Waterloo home. His mother's right hand was almost severed, and she also received chop wounds to the back of the neck. He was later held by police while still dressed in his school uniform. Doctors successfully reattached the mother's hand at the San Fernando General Hospital. Further afield, a court in India has sentenced self-proclaimed Indian spiritual guru Asaram Bepu to life imprisonment for raping a 16-year-old girl in 2013. The guilty verdict was handed down today amid high security at the Jodhpur Central Jail. Asaram's legal team is planning to challenge the verdict in India's High Court.
It has taken almost 5 years, Christy, but a powerful self-proclaimed Indian spiritual guru has finally been convicted of raping a 16-year-old follower. Asaram Bapu was sentenced to life in prison Wednesday for sexually assaulting the teenager back in 2013 during a religious ceremony intended to cure her of evil spirits. Now, Christy, a special court in the northwestern Indian city of Jodhpur handed down this verdict under a heavy blanket of security. Authorities here left nothing to chance, effectively sealing the city amid fears of protests by Asaram's followers. In fact, the entire courtroom was moved inside a high-security prison to ensure that nothing disrupted the proceedings. Though his lawyers now plan to appeal the verdict, the judgment marks a startling fall from grace for Asaram.
And that's news, but for the very latest, visit our website at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook. We are also on Izumi Media in bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. You can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM. I'm Emmanuel Joseph. Have a fantastic evening.